My name is Rachel Tom, and today I will be going through my final portfolio, including my best work from this intensive summer course. The first piece in my portfolio is my hard news release, in which I am writing on behalf of Bruno Mars's recording label, Atlantic Records. For my hard news release, I announced the additional Bruno Mars concert in Hawaii to his 24 Karat Magic Tour. I chose this topic because we have learned from the textbook that one of the most important characteristics of news is timeliness. The news release I wrote provided immediate notification that the planning of the concert was in motion and provided facts on the event, including the location and an approximate show date, although details had not been officially finalized. I felt like this would be a good topic because it's relevant to Hawaii's local residents and also provides insight on how the ticketing agencies have modified ticket sales to allow local residents a chance to purchase tickets first. After choosing my topic, I began by identifying the 5 W's and H, my target audience, the objective for writing the news release, and the key messages I wanted to highlight in this piece. Having the basic facts, understanding the target audience, and having a consistent message that meets an organization's goal are crucial in effective public relations writing and overall communication in general. The biggest takeaway from the writing process was learning that the outline in FWSH helps bring attention to specific details and solidifies the objective of your writing. For my final draft, I did not include the outline component. Instead, I used just the 5 W's and H to create my news release. While constructing my news release, I found myself wanting to include details that would be more appropriate for a future release. Had I done my outline first, I think I would have had an easier time in the writing process. My final draft of my news release falls under the communication step of John Marston's race model because the piece communicates and satisfies Atlantic Records' objective of notifying Hawaii's local community of the upcoming event to generate ticket sales. The next piece in my portfolio is my blog component. I chose to do my blog on 3 perfect looks to copy this spring because I am very interested in fashion. I have always loved fashion, so I decided to fulfill a couple of elective credits with fashion classes during my time at UH. I have grown up reading fashion blogs and watching fashion influencers on YouTube for styling tips and fashion inspiration. Learning that creating a blog can be beneficial to companies, including fashion labels and major fashion publications, inspired me to create a piece of public relations writing that could help me land a job in my field of interest. I specifically chose to do outfits for spring because the season is the welcoming of warmer weather and outfits to match. Being born and raised here in Hawaii, dressing for warmer weather is something that I consider myself an expert at. The first step I took in organizing my thoughts was deciding what type of blog I wanted to create. I decided to do an employee blog and started by doing a lot of research by looking at blogs with similar content to familiarize myself with the voice of the writing, the layout format, and just to get a feel of what I wanted and what I wanted to avoid for my piece. I then used the Tips for Success list of averages of blog elements to help guide my blog to be more successful. I allowed for a comment section, I included 3 pictures, and used a topic similar to a tutorial list. From this assignment, I took away that the voice of your writing really makes a difference. The voice in a hard news release compared to a blog is more serious and straight to the facts, whereas a blog is more personal and more like natural dialogue. In my first draft, I originally had my 3 photos aligned next to each other at the top of the text underneath the title. From Pam's feedback, I decided that putting the images in line with the paragraphs talking about those specific outfits would make my blog more cohesive and easier for the reader to follow. For the text, I also included an introduction paragraph in the beginning, leading the reader into the actual topic. Prior to this edit, I went straight into the outfits, but did not give any context about why I chose the topic or what makes me an expert on springwear. By adding this paragraph, it gives me a little more credibility towards the reader and provides them with a reason to continue reading. My blog is polished enough for inclusion in a hypothetical PR campaign because it encompasses all of Melvin Sharp's added 5 principles in the public relations process, including honest communication for credibility, openness and consistency of actions for confidence, fairness of actions and reciprocity, continuous two-way communication to prevent alienation and build relationships, and research and evaluation to determine the actions or adjustments needed for social harmony. The next piece in my portfolio is my online content. For my online content, I wanted to stick to the fashion theme and decided to cover one of my favorite YouTuber and fashion influencer, Jen Eames' fashion label, Eggy. The Eggy brand, designed by Jen, caters to petite Asian bodies similar to hers and mine and incorporates her own personal wardrobe and eccentric taste that I love. The Eggy brand uses a lot of bright colors and variety of girly and punkish decorations in their advertising. To organize my thoughts, I researched the Eggy brand's actual social media accounts on various platforms to familiarize myself with the brand's voice. I then chose the images that I liked the best and the ones that best followed the guidelines for each specific platform. For example, our textbook noted that Facebook posts that offer a coupon or sale has the biggest audience reach. For my Facebook post, I chose to use an image announcing Eggy brand's spring sale. The textbook also noted that for many of the platforms, including emojis or emoticons in your text, also helps in seeming more personal and friendly, which in turn results in a larger reach. For the Instagram post, I decided to use this as a way to sell some products or some Eggy products. I decided in the textbook they suggested that using an up close picture of the product is more successful because viewers and consumers can see the product easier. For my post, I chose an up close picture of Eggy's merchandise on a person to show how the merchandise fits and falls in real life. For my tweet, I used a horizontal image because I found in my research that most pictures, when opened in Twitter, show horizontally anyways. From this assignment, I learned that writing for online content also varies depending on the platform you're using. For platforms like Instagram and Twitter, the length of the post is usually shorter and includes hashtags and tagging usernames to link viewers and consumers to an organization's various web pages and social media accounts. Something I updated between my first and last draft was adding in more hashtags to my Twitter post. For some reason, I forgot to include any hashtags on my first draft, but added 3 to my final. My final draft is polished enough for inclusion in a hypothetical Eggy PR campaign because the images and text content fall in line with the organization's style and is visually aesthetic. The voice of the brand also sounds similar to the brand's voice, and the combination of images and text content help to effectively communicate with the brand's various audiences on all of its social media platforms through maximum reach. My last piece in my portfolio is my media kit. For my media kit, I continued my topic on the fashion label Eggy that I used for my online content. My interest in fashion and the fashion industry pushed me to learn how to write on potential career topics from different angles and in different formats. The pitch letter was by far the hardest piece for me to write. I really wanted to inform the recipient of the letter on everything, including the background on the designer. With all my research, I wanted to make sure I didn't leave out any important details that might push the publicist to pick up my story. For, for the hard release, I began by identifying the 5 W's and H. To be honest, writing the news release was the easiest piece to write for the media kit. I think because I am passionate about fashion and I've had experience in writing press releases, most of the news release came to me pretty naturally. I really put myself in the shoes of a journalist and wrote to capture the attention of a journalist. For the feature release, um, deciding on the topic was a little more challenging for me, especially not having written a feature before. However, once I realized the approach was more fun and tailored towards human interest, the rest of the writing flowed naturally as well. I really wanted to highlight details that would be most relevant and useful for consumers and that would help generate Eggy merchandise sales. For me, the biggest takeaway from doing the media kit was learning how to write a pitch letter. As the first piece of media as the first piece in the media kit, it is probably the most important piece because it entices the recipient to continue reading through the rest of the components. Another major takeaway from this assignment was really understanding the audience. This helped me grasp the difference between a hard news release and feature release. I made a lot of changes between the first and final draft, some of them including adding more facts about the designer and the brand to my fact sheet and adding more visually pleasing titles for each piece in the media kit. The biggest change can be seen in my pitch letter. In my first draft, I overloaded the first paragraph with information on Eggy's designer Jen and her background in the social media and fashion industry. In Pam's feedback, she corrected me by providing me with um, comments that the paragraph of the hard news release, or should be similar to the hard news release, containing the 5 W's and H. She also reminded me that the last paragraph's objective is making the ask and giving exclusives. This advice really helped me to polish up my pitch letter and to keep it to a tight formula that we have learned about in the text and online modules. My final draft of the media kit is polished enough for inclusion in a hypothetical Eggy campaign because I did thorough research on the organization and the topics covered in each written piece. I also executed effective communication by writing in the appropriate style for each specific audience. Thank you so much for taking the time to look through my portfolio, and I've had a really good time learning and experiencing with you guys during this 3-week intensive course. Thank you.